Hi, I'm Meagan Blessing,
And I'm Kalli Hendrickson.
and we are back to talk to you a little bit about what resilience actually looks like. Last time we talked about how to regulate, going from surviving to thriving. And now we're going to talk about resilience. So, what do you do when you hit a wall? When people think about resilience, a lot of times they think resilience is the ability to bounce back. How fast can you bounce back? How unaffected can you be by things? And we all want to be resilient. That's always a good goal to have. But what do you do when you hit a wall and you feel like I can't?
Myself out of yes.
I have been flattened and I can't seem to get up. So
Yeah.
what do you do with that?
Or there's no wind and you can't get the change quick enough that you're
Yeah.
wanting.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in those seasons try to find like an inner healing tactic or someone to pray for them, which none of those things are wrong. And we want to remind you that community is a good thing. That's why we have people. But also, have we thought a minute that once again, God is not rushed about our process and that rest isn't just Sabbath that God asked us to do, but it's a way for you to get your whole system to calm itself down after a hard season. So things like vacations or in the Jewish culture, celebrations, those things were all for a purpose of taking you out of that striving to build something, including your self mode.
That's good. If you watched the last video, you know that rest is not one of my strong points. I was raised in a culture that valued work and effort very highly. So giving yourself the permission to rest. If you are an athlete, you know that rest is where you actually get stronger. You break the muscles down when you're working them, and then the rest is when they rebuild. And it's not any different really in your emotional or your spiritual life as well. The rest is vital.
Yeah, it is. I also want to give a shout out to the differences in people because some people need to rest in complete quietness and some people need to rest with people and some people rest by doing things. My dad is always fixing something, putting his hands to things, and it just helps him tactilely have a way to bring order to his chaos, and that is with his hands by doing things. So there isn't a right answer to this, but I think we often bench ourselves into a specific thing we think is acceptable for rest. And we haven't really thought about how we're wired. Being a teacher, you learn that kids can learn with auditory, visual, or kinesthetic means. And so, even for us, when we're learning how to take care of ourselves, to learn that there are different ways to do that.
Yeah, that's really good. What charges your batteries? Most people think I'm an extrovert, but the reason I know that I'm not is because when I really want to recharge, I do not want to be around people. But I have friends that to recharge, they want to go out. They want to be in a social situation, and that just recharges their batteries. So knowing how you rest well, I think that's a really good point because we don't think about that a lot of times. We think, oh, rest is doing nothing or rest is taking a nap or whatever. It might not be.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
So, we're coming back then to the wall that we experience. It's something that we don't know how to fix that we think God does not care.
Ooh, that is a snap. I don't know how to fix it, and clearly God does not care. Whoa. And that's true, though, isn't it?
It's so true.
That's really well put, Kalli. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's
And
good.
so, what do you do when you're panicked in these situations? You're either in hyper alertness, trying to spend day, get out, and bring inner healing to help yourself, or you're in freeze mode and you're all shut down. Don't talk to me about this. I'm annoyed.
I can't even right now. What do you do? Yeah,
Gosh,
yeah.
there's actually a couple tactics. Good news.
Please, somebody throw me a rope.
Well, I think it's important to know that our bodies also need help getting out of loop system. Our brains do what our bodies do. So if you're a fight, flight, or freeze person, you got to finish your loop. So if you're angry about something and you're looping on it, why don't you put the person that you're or situation that you're in into an invisible chair and finish your cycle. Take a swing at it, verbally do what you need to do. Let Jesus stand between you and it. But it gets it out of your body in a way that you're not hanging on to things.
I think that's actually really key. I had never, ever in my life done that until about 3 years ago. And I was amazed at what that did. Like just being able to be honest with that situation. Holy cow, it took all of the hoo-ha out and I was able to just calm down and breathe again.
Yeah. So fight is usually like anger is your animal brain kicking on. You're not able to reason in that. So you got to get that out before hearing anything. Freeze is fear. This is hard for some people because there's real trauma out there. So do what you can, maybe take it in increments, but practice running away. Even run in place because it gets your body and that memory together and it gives you a way out, which is good.
So the fear thing, what you said about running away and giving a chance to get out. One of my biggest values is freedom. So I do not like feeling cornered or trapped or shut down or any of that kind of thing.
Definitely.
When I'm having dreams about being cornered or these places you can't get out of, that kind of thing, I always know I'm on the edge of a breakthrough because that's what the enemy gives me right before a breakthrough to make me feel like a victim. And what he's looking for is that I will come into agreement with, I'm a victim. I can't change my situation. Oh, poor me. This isn't fair. And it's just so easy to have a pity party, but we don't want to stay there. Yeah. That victim thing is something that I believe that the Lord wants to help us out of, but we actually have to choose that we're not going to choose to be a victim.
Yeah, that's so good.
And it is a choice.
Yeah,
like we get to choose. And that's part of our free will that he died for. He died so that we had the opportunity to choose to be victims if we want to. But it also just completely limits what he can do for us.
I also think there's a grace with how your mind changes because your old neural pathways, the less they're used, they're going to shut down and new ones open up. And so usually when people lose the victim mindset, the one thing that they hit next is this is hard.
And it is.
It is hard.
It is.
But it gets easier just like when you're training your muscles to do something new. Pick up tools of curiosity, find back doors to doing things, ask God for strategy and help. And that comes back to you think that he doesn't care enough to help you. He actually wants your well-being to thrive. So it's the small stuff too. And his healing and redemptive purposes, they're for wholeness. They're for fullness. So he has a tactic. He knows the way that you learn. He knows the way that you hear him. And there is a tool to help you. So you're reflecting, you're regulating your body, you're admitting that maybe rest is something that you need to get out of hyperactivity. And then you're growing new steps by not choosing to be a victim, asking the Lord for some tactics that will help you build muscle in those steps. I remember Meagan years ago was telling me about her figure skating and how when she needed to learn how to land, she had to have like the pillow.
Yep.
And she said to me, she's like, you need to learn. Let fall
It's
go.
true. It's true.
I don't want to.
Yeah. Nobody likes to take a hit. But that's why you have hip pads so that when you crash in the ice again, you don't injure yourself. It's still uncomfortable, but you get really good at falling.
And people, they're always going to say stuff about you.
Yeah.
Like, they're not always going to say stuff about you.
Somebody always will.
They're not going to get it right. They're going to
No.
make assumptions.
No.
And if you're a feeler, those things just ring, right?
Yeah.
But if you learn how to take a hit and you trust God is good, you trust that, people, they do the best that they can. It doesn't mean you're down and out. If something happens, they're going to stay at the table. The more you grow those things, that is taking a hit, learning how to fall, and working your way out of being a victim.
Underneath all of that is understanding who you actually are. That's where the identity training is helpful because victim is an identity that we put on. I should say that differently. We don't put it on, it's put on us, and we get to choose whether we're actually going to wear it or not.
Yeah.
But it is an identity, and it kind of is you can get out of a lot of things when it's not your fault and it's just so hard and,
You don't
all of that kind of
understand
thing.
that.
Yeah. But underneath, there's an actual identity that each one of us carries, and it can't flourish or come to fruition if it's covered over with this victim stuff.
So the second part of our definition of being a wall actually was the first part. Into the second part first, but something that you don't know how to fix, that you think God doesn't care. And so the what you don't know how to fix, that's okay. Because you're not a victim.
Right.
That's okay. You don't always have to understand things. How do you know how to go to God with something even small? I mean, we all have parents. They did the best that they can, but God is not them. He's perfect love. He's perfect protection. So I thought it might be helpful for some people to hear a list of what secure safety in God
I
looks
would like a list of what secure safety in God looks like.
God has boundaries
Mm.
and he enforces them. And that teaches us that he is safe and he means what he says and he's consistent. There's no sneaky back door. The rules are going to change on you. He addresses violations to those boundaries without control and without managing. So you still have free will every single time. He repairs connection over punishing. Emotion is permitted without any kind of judgment. He doesn't decrease his love or your personal value due to a moment of your performance. He doesn't react emotionally to what you're doing or rush his punishments. And he sees the whole picture. I don't think I could understand safety or trust if it wasn't consistent or if love was conditional and performance based. And a lot of what we've known has been. So even just hearing that list, I'm sure a lot of people are exhaling. And guess what? You just regulated your system. You're welcome.
What I hear in that is permission to be where you're at. I was a competitive figure skater. A lot of you that were in sports or music or whatever it was that you do or are doing, we're always looking to be better. What did I do wrong this time? What could I fix? What can I be better? And it's always that. And it was never permission to enjoy where you're at because it's just a step in the way to where we're going. And I think that's typical of humans in general. But God loves the process. And what I hear in that list is someone who just is delighted that we are where we are, that we're doing what we're doing. I love the connection instead of punishment, because that's a big one for a lot of people, depending on how we were raised, right?
It makes it so that if you're frustrated or if you don't know something, when you're actually sitting to be with the Lord, you're not afraid. You're not afraid about what you're going to get. And that makes it easier to hear him.
Hearing God is really important. We talked about that earlier. So, we are going to next time talk about the story we're telling ourselves and how that fits in with all of this self-regulation, going from survival to thriving, and what resilience looks like. So thank you, Kalli.